Have you noticed how differently women are talking about money lately? They're not just talking about making more money, but we're also talking about needing more options concerning our money. For a long time, financial success looked pretty straightforward. Get your degree, build your career, climb the ladder, stay employed somewhere stable, and eventually retire. That's the model most of us were handed, whether it came from our parents, our schools, or just the general culture around what a good financial life was supposed to look like. But these days and times have cracked open something a lot of women have suspected for years, which is that a good job and financial safety are not always the same thing. If you felt that tension lately, you're not imagining it. Maybe you're making more money than you ever have in your entire career, and yet somehow you still feel less safe than you did 5 years ago. Maybe you've watched talented, hardworking people who you respected get laid off without warning. I'm talking about women who did everything right and still ended up blindsided. Maybe one paycheck covering your whole entire life, your mortgage, your kids, your family, your own future. It just feels riskier than it used to, even though on paper you look successful. And there's still that small voice that keeps asking you,
what happens if this plan stops working?
Here's what's fascinating about this though. The women creating the most financial flexibility right now aren't necessarily the ones earning the highest salaries. They're the ones building options. And that's exactly what we're getting into in this video. How women are creating more freedom, more safety, and more flexibility without quitting their jobs, draining their savings, or starting some business that takes years to turn a profit. And stay with me until the end because there's a shift happening right now that's changing how women build wealth, and it's a lot more accessible than most people realize. For years, success got measured by income. Now, more women are measuring success by flexibility. Think about two women who both make $120,000 a year. One of those women has one source of income, her paycheck, and nothing else. The other woman has a few different ways money moves into her household. She has her salary, maybe a coaching client or two on the side. Maybe she has a small digital product she sells online. Now, which one of those women feels more safe? Which one has more options? Which one gets to make decisions from confidence instead of fear? Let me know which woman, number one or number two, down in the comments. Because that's the shift, and it's not just about earning more. It's about reducing dependency. Listen, dependency creates pressure. When one paycheck is carrying your mortgage, your goals, your retirement, your family's needs, and every dream you have for your future, every single career decision starts to feel heavier than it should. Even the decisions that have nothing to do with money on the surface. Multiple income streams are not becoming popular because they're trendy. They're becoming popular because they create breathing room. And breathing room changes how you negotiate, how you show up in hard meetings, and how you make decisions about your own time. Now, you've probably heard me say this before. Financial flexibility isn't about escaping work. It's about creating options. This is about the option to leave a toxic environment without panicking about how you'll survive. This is about the option to say no, the option to take a break when you need one, the option to build something that feels meaningful to you, or the option to simply withstand uncertainty without it derailing your whole life. And that's a very different conversation than just make more money, right? I learned this lesson firsthand on March 4th, 2026, when I got laid off from a content marketing role I had worked hard over a decade to get into. Like a lot of professionals, I had spent years doing everything right, building experience, developing skills, growing my career, and creating results that matter. And then one day I got reminded of something every working woman eventually discovers. And that is, companies make business decisions even when you're valuable, even when you're talented, and even when you've done everything right. And that's not me throwing shade at employers. It's just reality. And once that reality sinks in, something changes. You stop treating your job like it's your entire financial strategy and start treating it like one piece of a bigger financial strategy. Your job can be excellent. Mine was. Your employer can be wonderful. Mine was. Your career can be thriving. Mine was. And guess what? It can still make complete sense for you to build something beyond your job, not from fear, but from wisdom. Your job was never meant to be your only plan. And here's where things get interesting though. A lot of women assume building another stream of income means learning something brand new, getting another certification, a degree, or develop a whole new business model. That's not what I'm talking about. The women creating financial flexibility the fastest are usually monetizing skills they already use every single day, inside their job or completely outside of it. And once you see it, it's hard to unsee. Picture the project manager who keeps entire teams organized without missing a beat. This is the same way she's been running her family's entire household logistics for the last decade. Think about an HR leader who navigates the hardest conversations at work, and somehow she ends up being the one every friend calls when their marriage or their career is falling apart. What about the teacher who can make anything click for a classroom of 30, who's also the one who taught her own mother how to use a smartphone with more patience than anyone thought possible? What about the woman who spent 2 years coordinating care for an aging parent and came out the other side knowing more about navigating insurance and healthcare systems than most professionals ever will? You see, none of those credentials are anything you'd put on a resume, right? But they're skills built through real life, and they're just as valuable, sometimes more valuable than anything that shows up on your LinkedIn profile. The opportunity here isn't starting from scratch. It's packaging what you already know, whether you learned it in a boardroom or in your own living room. That's the mindset shift, because a lot of women spend years sitting on skills they don't even recognize as valuable. They've gotten so good at navigating their own lives and other people's lives that they assume everybody else can do what they do. And that's rarely true. Once you start seeing your life that way, you start asking a much more interesting question than what's my job title. You start asking, what do people already come to me for? For some of you, that answer is going to point straight at coaching. And if you're sitting there thinking that surely doesn't apply to me, I gently push back, because most women who end up loving coaching started exactly where you are right now. A little skeptical with no real plan, but they had a list of things people kept asking them for help with. That's exactly what I dig into inside my free skills to income training. This is the one where I break down what makes coaching such a viable second stream of income. I'll teach you what most women get wrong about it when they try to start, and why structure ends up mattering so much more than credentials or a big audience ever will. If any of this is resonating with you, I want you to drop the word income in the comments and I'll send it your way. No pressure, just a deeper look at how this could work for someone in your exact situation. Now, what I love about coaching specifically compared to a lot of other income streams is that it doesn't ask much of you up front. There's no inventory to order, no warehouse to rent, no 18 months of product development before you make a single dollar. Coaching starts with the skills you already have, the same skills that have been sitting underneath your job title or the role in your family this whole time. And I get the instinct some of you have right now, that little voice asking you,
Who am I to coach anyone?
I'll be here to remind you that coaching has never required you to be the world's leading expert on anything. It requires you to have gotten a result that someone else wants and to be willing to walk them through how you got there. That right there is the whole game. And keep watching, because in a bit, I'm going to tell you why this matters, even if you've never once thought of yourself as the entrepreneurial type. The most successful women I know stopped calling their income streams side hustles a long time ago. They call them assets. And that distinction matters more than it sounds like it should, because a side hustle sounds temporary, but an asset creates long-term value. Your skills, your experience, your knowledge, your network, and honestly, even the hard things you've survived outside of work are all assets. And assets create leverage. A paycheck requires you to show up every single day just to keep it coming. An asset creates options. I'm talking about options that are still there even on the days your job feels uncertain. And here's the other thing. Your skills are your backup plan. Your leverage leverage, and your next stream of income. When women start seeing their skills through that lens, everything about how they move through their career changes, including how willing they are to speak up, push back, or walk away when something isn't working. This is the part most women get stuck on, and it's usually not because they lack the skills, it's because nobody ever taught them how to package it. I've seen women spend months trying to build out some complicated funnel when the fastest path forward is usually a whole lot simpler. Here's a pro tip. Before you start building courses, before you start building memberships, before you start creating a dozen different products, there's value in learning how to package one transformation and sell it with confidence. That's exactly why I created 2K in 2 hours, because most of the women I work with, they're not lacking skills, they're lacking structure. They have years of experience, but they just haven't learned how to position it, package it, and talk about its value in a way that gets people to say yes. Inside 2K in 2 hours, I walk you through how to take what you already know and turn it into a high-ticket coaching offer people will be excited to pay for. To learn more about 2K in 2 hours, you can head over to my website at herincomeedit.com/2K or just click the link in the description. Listen, financial flexibility doesn't start when everything feels perfect. Financial flexibility starts the moment you recognize the value that's already in your experience. And here's the thing about all this. Financial flexibility isn't reserved for women with massive audiences, venture-backed companies, or endless amounts of free time. Financial flexibility is being built every single day by everyday women who decided their paycheck wouldn't be their only plan. Financial flexibility is being built by women who choose options over dependency. It's being built by women who finally realize the skills they've spent years developing are worth more than any performance review ever told them. The goal here was never just about more income. The goal is about more freedom, more confidence, more possibility, and more control over what comes next, no matter what happens to the job you have right now. That's a very different future, and it's one you can create starting with the skills you already have. If you're new here, my name is Nick Scott, and I help women turn their existing skills into coaching income, digital products, and online businesses. And if anything in this video resonated with you, go watch this one next, because it goes even deeper into why every woman needs a second stream of income before she thinks she needs it. Okay? I'll see you there.